What have these people done to yoga? Thousands of years ago, Patanjali described Hatha Yoga, and Krishna described the basics of the entire yoga system. Both of these teachers required practitioners and yoga teachers to embrace, among other things, austerity, simplicity, celibacy, and renunciation of worldliness. Yogis lived in the forest or the mountains. They ate what grew wild, shunned the world, and abandoned worldly trappings for a higher cause, for enlightenment. Fast forward to 2018, and yoga is now a market worth $80 billion globally. Students pay $15 a session, teacher training costs thousands, and yoga retreats are through the roof. Added to that are requisite yoga equipment, yoga mats, yoga pants, yoga shirts, and yoga incense, and the varieties of yoga are as numerous as they are embarrassing. Naked yoga, hot yoga, dream yoga, beer yoga, sex yoga, and even laughing yoga. But it's no laughing matter. Yoga marketing has gotten the upper hand on the purpose of yoga, and that purpose was not combating stress, keeping healthy, or feeling good. What to speak of making money or a livelihood. The purpose of yoga was self-realization and connecting with the Supreme. So let's be honest. Let's stop calling this commercialized farce yoga. Call it whatever you want, but don't piggyback on the dignity of great yogis, teachers, and avatars of the past. If you want to make a business or be part of a business, then just know that you have sold your soul to the very thing yoga is meant to free you from: worldliness and bodily identification. But if you want to really practice yoga, then do it the authorized way, the way of the Yoga Sutras and of Bhagavad Gita.
So today I was watching a video of this guy who's been doing yoga for a very long time. He's probably in his 60s. He's probably a Swami. Okay, so basically, he was basically complaining and talking about how yoga is really commercialized, and he brought up a lot of interesting points. And ironically, some people were really against him because he was so esoteric, in the sense that his biggest complaint was that people advertise yoga as a sense of stress reliever, or getting toned, or getting in shape, and lowering your heart rate, and dealing with your stress. But ultimately, yoga, as practiced in India, was not about those things. Those things are the byproduct of practicing yoga. The main goal of yoga was self-realization. That is exactly the word he used. Now, in martial art, the purpose of practicing martial art is self-actualization. So I want to shoot this video talking about yoga and martial art because yoga is very mainstream now. Back in the 70s is when yoga first came to America. I have books on yoga from the 70s, and these girls would wear a leotard. And it wasn't very popular back then, and it's getting really popular now, where Lululemon, I think, is like $1 billion yoga company now. And basically it's very popular. It's popular with females, especially females who basically want to get toned and in shape, and there's yoga studio popping up all over the place. And in that video, he also talks about certification and all sorts of different types of yoga, and so basically there's all sorts of yoga now. Like whatever yoga you want, there's probably a style for that, and all these yoga came up not because they were better than each other, it's because they were trying to meet the need of the marketplace. And I believe in capitalism, I believe in marketplace, but at the same time, you have to go back to the essential of why you're practicing something. And you got to make sure you understand that you're not getting fed a marketplace. You're not getting fed marketing, right? And so, example, he was talking about hot yoga, naked yoga, Like there's just a whole bunch, there's like infinite number of yoga. Now, if you go to India, for example, I bet you they don't even have a half a dozen of yoga style that we practice in America. So this brings up a very interesting point, because just like in the martial art industry, there's just hundreds of different styles, but not just style, but just hundreds of different schools that basically have all sorts of flavors. And a lot of martial arts school now keeps on emphasizing that you do martial art, you get in shape. I'm guilty of that. You will lose weight, you will learn self-defense, you'll feel confidence. But very, very, very rarely, like I've never seen it once at all. I might have mentioned it in my ads, but I've never seen martial art as talking about having self-actualization. That is the key part of martial art. So that's something that I'm going to start pushing more. I live in a small town, so it's very hard to get a lot of students. And so I'm thinking to myself, why don't I just go back to the root of martial art, which is self-actualization? You know what I mean? Self-actualization. Once you have self-actualization, everything else will come into play. So if you're practicing martial art and you're not getting self-actualization, you're basically practicing an art that is very shallow, or it's not touching the soul. And I think that's what the Swami was talking about. He said that if you want to learn yoga, you should learn it from a yogi or a Swami or a guru, not just somebody who just went and did like a 100-hour course on yoga. You know what I mean? And the problem with just learning from a Swami or a yogi or guru is that there's not a lot of them around, and so therefore the market is demanding. There's like yoga studio popping in everywhere, right? Another thing that's kind of interesting is that just like the martial art industry, if you go to Instagram or YouTube, you see all these really good-looking people practicing yoga, and so they have hundreds and hundreds of following, and basically, it's always nice to look at beautiful girls doing yoga because their body is just so beautiful when they do these great long poses. But why do we really follow them? I mean, are they a guru? Are they a Swami? Do they have great insight? You know what I mean? They don't. They're just the beginning of their journey. And so we're a beginner following someone who's in the beginning of a journey. And so that's the problem. And I see that also in a lot of martial art style in school. Like a lot of martial art style will practice, there's a style called hype martial art, the hyper martial art, and I like to call it hype martial art. And it's basically about teaching young kids to do all these like parkour, aerobic movement, like flipping and jumping, all these tricks, right? And I swear to God, you will not see martial like fighting skills out of that. Like very, very like small percentage of it is actual fighting skills. You know what I mean? Very small percentage of it is self-actualization. You know what I mean? And it's being taught by other young kids. And so very, very dangerous. I think modern society wants the good feeling, want to be around people who are good looking, to feed off that ego. And in the Bible, they said that you go to where you want to go to people that can scratch your itchy ear, right? And so you want to go to places where you want to hear something and you don't want to hear the truth. Instead, you want to hear things that are easy, that are palatable to your mind, to your vision of who you are. You want to feed your ego. So you go to these instructors, these schools that feed into your ego, And so, for example, it's very common now for martial arts school to give out rankings to kids, 12-year-old, 13-year-old black belts. So by the time they're 19, they're 4th degree, 3rd degree, 5th degree. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And I run an MMA school. I have my own style of martial art. And my highest ranking student's been with me for 6 years. He's an adult. He's a professional MMA fighter. He's only a brown belt. To this day, I have my martial arts school now for 10 years. I've not given a single black belt to anyone. I have not. Evander will probably be my first students to get a black belt for me, And so, commercialization. Now, I believe in the marketplace of free idea. I actually don't care if yoga gets more popular or really popular. what I care about, why I'm shooting this video, just like the Swami, was that we want to educate people and let people know that when you practice martial art, you're going to get all these byproducts. But at the end of the day, the true essence of martial art, just like yoga is self-realization, and martial art, we call it self-actualization. Basically, they mean almost the same thing. That's your end goal. Your end goal is not to get in shape. Your end goal is not to learn how to fight. Your end goal is not to learn self-defense. Your end goal is not confidence. All those things are byproduct. Now what happens, all these martial arts schools are pushing those because they're palatable. It's easy to feel confident. It's easy to lose weight. It's easy to feel like you learn how to defend yourself, right? Those are all easily measured metric. But self-actualization is so hard. And if I come up to you and say, hey, learn martial art from me, and maybe after 10 years, you'll know yourself even better. Or you may not, but your goal is to know yourself better and understand who you are as a human being and understand how you interact with the universe. You're like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to get in shape. I want to get strong. I want to stroke my ego. And those things are very palatable. And I see that in my students. I see it. It saddens me. You know, a lot of my students don't understand that. And they just don't have the insight. They just don't have the depth. And I still run my school because maybe out of 100, I might have 1 or 2 students who understand that. And that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to understand and have insights and thoughts and theories. And it did not come overnight. So, you know, I don't expect it to come overnight on other people.